Hey, so I just got this question from Kima Anna, and I hope I'm saying your name right. But there was a question, do you have any suggestions if one wants to be a healer from an intuition at the soul level, but has not yet reached a certain level of energy to truly help others? Do you have advices of some useful practices? Gratitude. Okay, so first things first, because of this messed up world and laws and everything else, we have to call this an energy work or anything like it, but no way healing, because then you're going to be punished and everything else. Anyway, so just got to be careful about the whole thing calling this. But what kind of practices I would suggest is first, really depends if you have good visuals. For me, it really helps, but I think you can pretty much count on your feelings, on your intuition, on a thought. And the way I would start is basically pick a person that might be close to you. One is because you can communicate to them and talk to them and say, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on you, and you don't have to explain everything. But what you want is to hear a response like, did you feel any changes? Did you feel anything change in your surroundings, in your body, any switches? What happened? So it's sometimes good, or like it's always good to have some like some people responding. But another thing to keep in mind is that not everyone will feel it or pick it up. I had a lot of sessions and clients I worked with where some who are, let's say, more intuitive or more in tune with themselves, they pick up and they get changes real fast within seconds. I say something, I tune into something, I talk about stuff, I pull something out of their space, and they feel changes within their body. They get tears in their eyes, they have visuals open up, and it's like amazing. Other times, which make me doubt myself, is like when I'm doing the work and I'm like working, like doing either the same or, like, okay, like just like working on clearing their space, and the person's like, what? I feel nothing. Something's supposed to change. So it's like, it really depends who you connect with and how a person is in tune with their own body, with their own issues. Can they confront it and everything else? So one is just, you have to work on yourself as in, hey, I'm going to do this work, and you're looking for a response, but you don't want to get doubtful. You don't want to doubt yourself. You don't want to think like, oh, it's not working, I'm going to quit and I'm going to stop. No, it's like you have to work, and eventually the people you work with, the right person will notice and will definitely tell you, hey, my God, you've changed my life. Okay, that being said, visuals, and where I would start to do this more like energy work, is basically if a person has physical issues, maybe even they have a cold, a flu, they might not feel too good, they might have a headache. This would be like some signs that you can pick up on. If they don't have any physical issues or something that would show up more, that is okay. Even like physical tensions or like, oh, a bit tired, a bit exhausted is okay. If they have nothing at all, you can still do the whole technique. And the way I would go about it is, first I would close my eyes, I would relax, take a few deep breaths, and I would try to picture that person right in front of me. I would like create this void where, okay, like there's either nothing around me, or you can have your own workshop. Think of if you were the best doctor in the universe and you had the tools, not only of this world, but from everything, like any possible civilization, or you were a god and everything you did, every single tool you've had would work on people. Imagine having a workshop where a person could lay down or sit down and you have tons of tools you can pick up and use. So with this idea in mind, you have your own office space, you have your own workshop, whatever you want to call it. You allow the person to come in there, or more like, okay, here's what who I'm gonna work on, and you allow this person to sit in your chair or lay on a table or something else, whatever is comfortable to you. And as you see that person in front of you, or you have an idea, you're like, for me, I'm using my hands and visuals where I'm scanning the person. Like all of a sudden, my hand will have an ability of a radar, of a scanner. And as my hand goes from their head up to their toes, slowly, I'm trying to, one, it's very important for me, is to blank out my own case. Everything that I am, I know, I feel, and everything else is no longer a thing. I'm going to leave it like out of my workshop where my case, my problems, nothing can affect it. It is going to be clear me that knows the tools. And when I tune into the person, I'm feeling them. So with that clear mindset, nothing of me enters the workshop, and I'm just here doing the energy work. And so like when I'm scanning the person, I don't have anything of myself coming into his space. I'm clear. And when I'm scanning the person, I can feel the tension. Or let's say, see the darker spots within the body. If a body would be like a clear outline and it is light, you would see darker cloud, misty spheres or like darker places as you would scan the person. And those are like the tensions. Those could be entities, harder, like, or like, let's say, negative thoughts and feeling states and some suppressive energies, like it could be third parties affecting them, what people say, and like some of the phrases get around. So like it goes into the energy form and it sticks with people. If you can scan the person and look through their body and sort of like, okay, I feel a tension here, it might be more hot over here, or you feel like there's like really like, oh, it's kind of hard, and you can even become a mirror and pick it up on yourself. But at the same time, I don't try to do it and I don't recommend it, because for some people, being empaths and being sensitive, you can like really get a good headache. And sometimes you're trying to help others, but then you get those issues and you start suffering and you can't help them fully because now you're dealing with the problem as well. So don't try to, I mean, you can work on it, you can try, see how it works. Maybe you'll find tons of great ways to deal with it. But I think to be safe, you want to scan them without letting that stuff to go within you and stay there. If you can let it in and like sort of digest it, filter it out and get it out of your space as well, that's going to be great. But just some little things to know, or at least look at, like, oh, okay, like I have an idea of what I don't want to do maybe. So that aside, you're looking at a person, those darker like spots, darker clouds, energy, the tensor stuff. You look at it, and with the intention, once you find them, try to remove it as if your hand would be a vacuum cleaner, or you simply like use your physical movement to pull it out. You take that energy out, you use the little tools you have around you, and it's all up to your creativity. You don't need people to tell you what kind of tools you have. You have an idea, you get it, you can alter them to what fits you better, to what you like better, to what makes you feel more comfortable, whatever like empowers you. But all the tools, it's all up to your imagination, your creativity, and what you like most. But then again, coming back to like darker spots or whatever feels more tense, or the thoughts, you have to like, don't have to, but like think of pulling it out, getting them out of their space, deleting it. Take like an eraser and like sort of like just remove it. Any kind of gesture, movement, action that would help you to get rid of that. And so you want to clean the body that you see away from all this darker, harsher energy, thoughts, and feelings. Once you get that cleaned up, then what I do is like, okay, well, think of what would that person need or like or want. And one is like fill it up with light, and then empower them. What kind of feelings that would make them feel better? Where they're creative, they're relaxed, they have a lot of energy, they feel love, they feel connected, they feel content. And all of those, like, let's say, good thoughts, you try to feel it yourself so that you could connect with what it is, and is it clear, and is it good? And then you try to like think of, let's say, water, and you're just pouring water into a glass. So the same thing works with the body. The body is like a vessel, and you're trying to pour the good stuff in. Since you've cleared it out and nothing's there that can like really make it dirty or not comfortable, you clear out the space first, and then you can pour the good stuff, being, the good feelings, the good emotions, like empower the person, like think of like hugging them and giving them that love and connection and whatever they would need at that time. And so that would be like one thing, is just like literally imagining a body in your workshop and using the tools to clear it and then put something good in. One thing to keep in mind is that once we clear the body, the vessel, the empty spaces sometimes for the person and their case will like work like a magnet. And if it's not filled with something good, they're very likely to attract the negative again. And another thing is that if they don't work on themselves, they're too very likely to attract the same old problem. If a person has things that like messed up their heart and they're not changing their lifestyle after they had the surgeries done, it's like whatever they were doing to mess it up in the first place, they will continue doing it again, and they will have the same old issues unless they choose to put in the work and change themselves. So that's another thing. Coming back to another little technique I would do is, again, you can have your own workshop, and as you have seen or felt the harsher, denser, darker energy in there, there's also entities. So like thoughts, behaviors, patterns, phrases, and entities. Entities in their space, whether you see them or not, everyone has them, sadly. And that's my perspective, my subjective perspective. Maybe I'm completely wrong, and I really hope so. But for those that might pick up on it, go for it. So what you do with the clearing is, okay, you have a person in your workshop and you might have seen them in real life. You might have had some conversations, you know of their issues. What kind of issues do they have? How do they feel? How do they react? You look at the issues, the triggers, the thoughts they have, whether, someone is depressed and they're saying, I hate my life. I don't want to be here anymore. This sucks. I'm exhausted. Nobody listens to me. I'm all alone. I'm so lonely. I can't take this anymore. I want to die. So like a lot of these phrases will be one thing. Maybe they have had issues in relationships where, like they get really jealous. They're very controlling. They like say certain phrases where it might be passive aggressive, where they want something really bad. Like, hey, I really want you to notice me. I want you to tell me like some compliments and give me love. And that would make me feel really happy. But instead of saying that specifically, they're going to be like, why don't you love me? Like you never compliment me. I hear you complimenting others all the time and I never get that. So instead of asking for it and being very honest and truthful about it, we become more aggressive and like sort of, like, hey, I'm going to protect myself and what I need. And it's your fault. And like, we kind of like become like get hitting other people instead of talking about it. So some people will have different cases, maybe at road rage, maybe someone's exhausted. So like you look at the person you're working with, and it's really good if you know them, so that you would know what kind of issues are they facing, what kind of thoughts do they have, what kind of little things are getting in their way. Once you know that, identifying it, like giving it a label so that you would know what you're working with exactly. Once you have an idea, so okay, I know the person I'm working with, and specifically, I'm going to look at the issues they have as regards to like finances. And specifically with that, they really have a hard time for getting a job or getting enough money. But what's about it? Well, they're being used. People don't see them worthy. They're being lied to. They are themselves a bit naive. They can't fight for themselves. They can't say no. So you look at the little issues they have around that issue or, like subject area you're working on. And so specific phrases and behaviors will actually be entities in their space. Of course, a person is responsible. They have their own issues and whatever has built up from the moment they were born. But some of the entities will be thought forms that will affect the person and ruin their confidence, make them really doubtful, make them naive, make them anxious and rageful and frustrating and worried and like concerned. So a lot of these thoughts and emotions will be part of the entity clusters. You don't have to see them, but identifying them really helps you out. Once you have an idea what you're targeting, a person has a specific issue. When I'm looking at that area, here's specific little things I know about them, little things they say, they feel, how they behave as regards that one issue area I'm talking or focusing on. And once you have those little things identified, as in, hey, a person has a hard time getting out of body. What's that all about? Well, are they keeping a dream journal? No. Are they practicing? They used to a few times, but they give up because it didn't work. So, they give up too fast. They are not putting in hard work. They don't want to practice. They're too tired. They're too lazy. Do they have visuals? No, really, the person doesn't have visuals. Okay, person doesn't have visuals. Is there something blocking their visuals? Well, probably. Are they doing exercises to get their visuals better? Not really. Are they eating origins, for example, that is going to help with that? No. Are they practicing drawing? No. So like you look at little things they do, don't do, say, don't say, and all the stuff, and you can sort of like think of an entity that could be causing it or affecting it or amplifying that little negativity. And so once you know the target, one, you either give them permission. So you're in your workshop and you basically, okay, there are beings affecting that person as regards getting out of body, having visuals, making money. And specifically with thoughts like this, you can make a list, you can just get the general idea. Either way, defining the subject would be really helpful. Once you have that part covered, you can give those entities permission, like, hey boys, you did your time. You really were either helping out a person or messing with him. I don't care, but now it's time to leave. You have my permission to go. You no longer need your higher ups to, like tell you what you can do. You can go. So that would be like a nice way to handle it. The other way to handle it would be, hey, think of having this vortex of energy. like all of a sudden you have superpowers with all your tools. You might have seen some movies where there are superheroes and they use some sort of like burning fire or whatever, their eye like ray or something that burns the shit out of things. With that idea, you look at like, okay, they have entities. So I gave them a permission to leave. I told them to leave. They might have not listened. And you think of just like looking through the body or the person's space, any entities, think of like literally sucking them into this little container, like using a vacuum cleaner, which was like more like a galactic vacuum, for example. But others can really burn these entities or kill them or trap them in certain space. Like they're like flies, you don't need them. So literally getting rid of those things, and it's all up to you. Again, your creativity. You don't have to follow rules. You don't like, you get the idea, what I'm talking about. You get like, okay, sort of like makes sense, maybe, but then take it up yourself. Be creative, alter it to yourself, whatever works better for you. Some people are pretty good at like, hey, like I'm going to be understanding, I'm going to be a listener, I'm going to be a life coach, and I'm going to get these entities out of their space. Some of you might have gone through so much and there's this inner fighter within you. It's okay. It is you. You are the warrior. You are the fighter. Use that. This is your ability. Go for it. Don't feel bad about because, you want to fight the issue. That's you. And go for it. Like if a person has entities and you're working on them in your workshop, think of like, what would you do to that entity? How would you fight this issue? And just be creative, just use your ways. Maybe you will recall some of your past lives with that. But again, getting rid of entities, some of the phrases a person might have is one thing. And again, the way I would end this little practice is after we clear their space, change it with the empowering stuff. You cleared out their space of entities that make them more naive, that might make a person more worried or concerned, that will be more reactive to certain things and amplify negative thoughts, whatever is affecting them. Once you clear it out, you want to give them the better stuff. So after the clearing, after getting that space empty, again, to not leave it open for more entities to come because it's empty, we have to fill it with the good stuff. So sort of pick the opposite. If a person was naive, if they had a hard time making money, if they had bad visuals, boom, you give this person the best visuals ever. All of a sudden, the person can see really well. They have great imagination, great creativity. They can access stuff, see stuff, or like they're very successful. All of a sudden, they have this, like they're courageous, they're full of ideas, and they're finally fighting for themselves. They're able to say no when they want and need that. They're able to say yes. They're more intuitive on which location to go to get better deals, for example. Or like they're more calm when they're driving. Like whatever is their case or whatever you're working on, give them the good stuff. Whatever you are clearing out, flip it into the opposite good. Not like no longer smoking. This person is no longer has cancer, but this person is completely healthy. They're doing great. Their health is freaking amazing. This body has never been better before. Put the good stuff, the good thoughts, the good energy, and just go with that. So this would be the second little thing. The third little technique I would recommend is as you look at the body, think of the possible cords and attachments they might have. For example, they have had some connections with people that might have hurt them, whether it is the boss, whether it is the parents or siblings or someone close to them or someone's like, just say the phrase. But a person makes lots of contact with other people. And while we might not see it, it's like, there's a little wire, a little energetic wire that connects us to every single person we have ever met and engaged with. Even if it's not much, even if it's simply saying hello, it's just like, here's a line I created when I saw that person and sort of nodded to them as a hello, and that's it. And that's meaningless. But there are people that we have met that have hurt us. Whether they simply said one phrase, you might not know them, you might have not engaged with them much, but they were just a bully in school and they told you stuff, they did stuff to you, and you're still hanging on to those issues. It still hurts. And so phrases, again, like, like, oh, I'm a loser, I'm a good for nothing, I'm a failure, I can never get a good job, I can never make enough money, whatever seems to be more programming. And those may be events in a person's life where, they were betrayed, they were cheated on, they were left, they were lied to, they were gaslighted, some of the things like that. So you get the idea of possible events and phrases and things that have hurt the person, and it's clinging on to them. It's like the energy is like still attached. It's like this dirt that you need to get off yourself. So think of it in the possible shape of a chord or a line, sort of these attachments. It's like you're grabbing a wire that's attaching the person. It's like an anchor holding them down with all this energy and phrases and things that has hurt them. And you literally disconnect it, unplug it from them, pull it out and destroy it. Think of it like burning, or the moment you pull it out of the person, it sort of dissipates and like it's no longer there. But again, like clear out any possible cords and attachments a person might have. And after the clearing, it's kind of like, if you know any events that have hurt them, you can create like an alternate reality event where, okay, if they have been bullied at school and I've literally pulled out the cord attachment to them being bullied, in an alternate reality that we're going to sort of create and put it in that space to fill up this little gap they have been successful. They've had a friend who was there for them, who was, talking and supportive and encouraging, and they've had a person in their life they needed to be a better person. Simply put someone in their space. It's not like you're recreating their life, but you're removing those little traumas and attachments and things that they might not be aware of. And it's not like you're altering their memories, but the trauma, the things that are hurting them, you're getting them out of your space. So again, the way I would start is clear out the bad and then put in the good. Because if you start pouring the good in over the bad stuff, it's just going to sort of like drip and not really be there because the bad stuff is filling it up. It's already taking the space. So you get it out of your space, you put in the good new one. That kind of like, hopefully that makes the idea. So last two little techniques, just to cover a few more things that a person can try. Go for variations, explore until you find something that works or you like or feel comfortable with, and you can practice like a muscle. So again, think of a person you're working on and literally create an energy shield and or extend the one they have. But that means some people will be suppressed in life. They have experienced a lot of hardships. They had people punching on them, whether physically or emotionally or psychologically. Various phrases in life limits us. People want us to be a certain way. Our parents sometimes are harsh where they want something out of us. So like maybe people at school, the teachers and friends, and everyone has expectations for you in some cases. And a person will feel limited, like they don't fit into anyone else's image of what they should be. They're not good enough. They're not right. They're not allowed to do stuff. They're being stopped, or they have this dream and someone tells you no. A person wants to be a musician and someone like, hey, no, that's a bullshit. It's a hobby. Go be a doctor, go be a dentist, to go be something else. And you hear that often enough. It's like you have this freedom as a kid, and you've seen these images maybe where a person going to the school, they're all bright, they have ideas, and then they leave as a square box because they've been pushed and controlled of what they should be like to fit in. So with that, as an energy, or like as a kid, you'll have this massive energy bubble, but everyone else wants you to fit into their reality, into their story of what you should be like, whatever they see you as. And our energy bubble that is freeing us is actually getting denser and smaller to the point where it gets into our space like that, and then it starts squeezing us. It starts like getting like shrinking, and like it's basically no space for you, to the point where it's not only shrinks and leaves you no space, but it's getting tighter and it starts twisting your body. It's like psychologically, it's like one of the things why people get scoliosis, why people get like various deformations with the body and everything else. So with that in mind, while some people need simply an energy bubble created to shield them, others will need their energy space to sort of extend, to give them room to breathe. If a person is being suppressed and have issues, it would be really great to pick up, okay, here it is, you feel their space, you can sort of feel around them, and where is their energy shield? How can you feel it? And you basically get close to that person, put your hand, or think you're close to that person. You can imagine being close to them. And as you have your hand out there, just feeling that stuff, you're like, where is it? And you can feel, oh, there it is, it's pretty hot over here. Great, keep on extending it. Like think of it growing, getting bigger so that they would have more space. It would also be more empowering. It would protect them. They would feel good in it. That's one thing. But for those that will have their energy like here or even closer, just like right next to their body, think of like literally picking up, like you were just pick up, like get this going and just extend it and try like gum, extend it to as much as possible so that they would have some freedom to breathe. But also what these people need is just a godlike being who had to shrink to fit in someone else's crapped up, messed up reality and system. So this godlike being has to shrink to become nothing to be available, like to be able to live with others. That being needs way more space, which is why you want to extend it not just around them, not just to their room, but literally make it bigger than a possible planet, make it bigger than the sun or whatever concept, like make it bigger than the skyscraper. And just make it a lot of space because that being needs some breathing room. And you literally will see the person like, hey, they just all of a sudden walk better. They feel better. They feel higher because all this pressure was squeezing them. They are deforming. They're like destroying themselves from within with their thoughts, with how they feel to fit in. These beings need like all this space extended so that they could be themselves at least a little bit. So that would be like another little technique. Now, the last one is I would go with people will have various relationships and they're being targeted one way or the other, where some groups might be jealous, and it can be entities, and it can be someone else who either is jealous or they don't want you to be fully you. You might make a massive impact. You might change other people's perspectives. You might simply be a happy little kid telling jokes, but guess what? Making others laugh is very empowering and you're dangerous. So a lot of people will need, or like a lot of groups will need and or want to try to shift how others see you and how you see yourself, which is why a lot of times people can actually be happy, they try to be helpful, they have a lot of great intentions, but everyone else all of a sudden starts rejecting them, pushing them back, like, hey, don't get close to me. And they start seeing personal with a different perspective than how one thinks they should, like the world should perceive them. And they're doing the best to tell the jokes, to be kind, to do the good stuff, to, hey, this is what I am, I'm going to show the world. And everyone else picks up the whole different image than you're trying to give. Why is that? Because some people have this fake cloak of how others will see you. If you have seen Harry Potter, there's this cloak of invisibility. Basically, you put on a little robe and no one can see you. Well, with that in mind, this little cloak of invisibility makes others see you differently. Not the real you, but the given program perception on a cloak. The cloak can have, oh, I'm a bitch. Oh, I'm a person that's going to steal your boyfriend or girlfriend. A person that's going to hurt you. I'm a liar. I'm gaslighting. They might simply perceive you dangerous. They might simply not trust you. But people will get close to you and they pick up not you, but the cloak energy, whatever has been programmed and put on you as this little shield or whatever. And so when people want to engage or you want to engage with them, they will see you completely differently because of that little programming that's around you. And with that in mind, one thing identifying would be great, but if not, like, hey, that person is being perceived like very differently. So you can think of them having this cloak and literally just simply have an intention and lift it off, like as if you're like getting close to their head, you pick it up and you pull it away, like boom, there it is, goes away. You can think of it burning, you can think of it dissipating, you can have an intention, hey, I'm going to uncreate it, whatever exists over there that closes the person and suppresses them or alters how everyone else sees them. Boom, with one finger snap, like Thanos or animal, like whatever you imagine, whatever works for you, it's like you remove that cloak. So one is to have an intention to get that thing out of their space, and another one, you can actually make the person invisible to the entities. Of course, it's like you now are putting the cloak, but everyone else can see the person. You can have an intention like, okay, well, people will be able to perceive them the way they are and everything else. But any entities that have been previously trying to target the person and mess with them now are hidden. The person is now hidden from the entities. They can't see them. The person is invisible. Very often, in this work, when we're trying to remove entities and work with something, there will be groups and or beings who will try to hide from you. And the way they hide is they become invisible. You had the idea, you picked it up, but all of a sudden it goes completely blank. You can't find it, you can't remove it. They're using that invisibility cloak. It's not in your belief system, it's not in your reality, it's not in your visuals. You can't see it, so it doesn't exist. And all of a sudden the problem is like, I don't know, I just had it, or it's gone. What the heck? So with that in mind, some of you people will want to hide your friend or someone you know, or even yourself from entities. It's a temporary solution, but for a few days to feel better, to not be targeted, it does help. So that would be probably all of the techniques. The little bonus thing I can add for this energy kind of work is look at your hands. You see your hand, and what you want to do is, let's just say you might want to look right at your fingers close, or maybe even through your fingers, where you might even look at the wall and you're looking through your fingers, but I actually like close up where I'm looking specifically at my fingertips. And with that, as I'm looking at my fingertips, I'm trying to clear out my space. No thoughts, nothing good, nothing bad. Keep it neutral. Don't think, and just look. Just very calmly breathe and look at your fingers. Don't try to manifest anything. But then as you're looking, think of your energy from your body flowing into your hand, like as if your hand is getting hotter, like as if you have some energy there, like it's expanding. And if you've seen some anime or people with superpowers or in movies and stuff, think of like, oh wow, like my hand, I can feel it getting powerful and like and everything else. But you're trying to maintain the neutral feeling state. The moment you get happy and excited, the moment you get like, oh, it's not working, or I'm not seeing anything, is the moment you drop your case. Like you literally shift out of your possible visibility range. When you stay in the neutral, you might start seeing this little, let's say, gas field. It's like you see your fingers, and some of you will start seeing energy around it. And it might be right around here, or it might be very close around your fingers, like barely visible. But it's like looking through the fog. It's like being in a desert, and all of a sudden the view starts getting like a little dizzy and gassy, and like, what the hell is that? But looking at your fingers, trying to generate this energy, push it into here, it might not even be around the fingers. It might extend to where your whole hand like has this like energy ball. So some of you might start perceiving energy. And it's just like, give yourself a few minutes, like look, don't think about anything, just look. And all of a sudden you will see a little bit of energy around your fingers. The moment you're like, oh my God, I'm seeing this, it's gonna disappear. You get excited, your mood changes, you have some thoughts, whether you're disappointed you're not seeing something, or whether you're like, oh my God, it's there, boom, disappears. So you have to maintain that neutrality to be able to sort of see it. And practice it. Practice looking at yourself, practice looking at your fingers. And once you start picking up this energy, you can literally, with that same mindset, maybe you go out in town for a coffee, you look at the person that's, you know, somewhere in the distance, so that you wouldn't be like a stalker, like, oh, look at this, but more like just like relaxed and like look at the person, no intentions, no nothing. But you will start seeing the energy around their body, and you can literally see a silhouette or some other being behind them. A lot of times people will have someone else close to them. Some people say like, oh, spirit guide, or like, oh, look, like another being, like, or just like someone they know. Some people have friends there that's watching over them. So you might actually start picking up stuff. But again, like managing the neutrality, don't get too excited, don't get disappointed, don't get like, oh, it's not working or whatever. If you want to practice that, that would be like something to do to get more visuals opening up. So that would be about it. Like a lot of little tips, things you can try, and hopefully, you know, something works. So again, practice it like a muscle. If that's something you want to do, you kind of like have to practice it every day or once in a while. And very important thing to add is getting stuff back. You do this energy work, you work on people, you give. You constantly give while doing this work, you get energy out there. After this work, you want to get the energy back. So whether you do some energy work on yourself, or simply go to sleep, get some water, make sure you get plenty of liquids, make sure you eat, touch stuff around yourself. Like, oh, my arm, how does my arm feel? Like rub your hands. You have to get something back in any shape and form. So whatever you can do for yourself, make sure you take care of yourself properly. It's very important. cleaning any energy from yourself is good. So I guess I covered it. Just a few basics. There's so much to do. There's so much things there like possibly to do, but it's good basics, I guess. So hopefully this is helpful, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.